Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Geekorama, a podcast by geeks for geeks. We are produced by the fabulous superherofiction.com, the one-stop shop for all your superhero novel needs. We are your hosts.
I'm Jeremy Flagg, author of the Children of Nostradamus universe.
And I am Trish Heinrich, author of the Vigilantes superhero universe.
Did I ever tell you that I launched my cover business?
Did we talk about that?
I'm so jumping in front of the show topic. So
that's okay.
Yeah, I actually launched it. And I decided after looking through so many superhero book covers and seeing what authors were
forced
together, I'm going to make this a mission now.
I have seen your two superhero covers, and I absolutely love them. I think they're wonderful.
Which got purchased and will be made into a 6-book series.
Nice. So you need 4 more of those.
Yep. And I already have, I have a very dark Phoenix one that's coming.
Okay.
I need to perfect my cape skills for this one, though.
Nice.
So, yeah, I just wanted to jump in front of the topic with that.
What is it called? You have to tell everybody what it's called.
Oh, yeah. I suppose I should. It's called Cover Villain. There's a bunch of pre-mades on the website. Open for business. I'm booked out a little bit already.
Good.
Yeah. I made more money in a weekend than I did in a month of book sales. Not quite sure if that's brag-worthy, but
I mean, it's good. It's good news.
I just enjoyed seeing my bank account go up.
Absolutely. So is it covervillain.com then?
It is.
Awesome.
And I'm going to... Oh, yeah, I did your covers.
You did. You did my upcoming romance superhero series.
Which was my first jump into romance, which basically you just spend hours looking at man chest.
It's true. It's true.
You just look for the right man chest.
I am so excited, not just to launch the book, but to launch that cover. I can't wait to launch that cover.
I'm excited for your book 3. That's my favorite.
I love that one. I do love that one. I'm just excited to get them out. Right now, it's the drafting process. Anyway.
Right back.
I'm trying. But if you need a cover, you're out there, you're an author, you're listening, you need a cover, go to covervillain.com. He also has a page and a group that you should join. It's wonderful.
Yeah, social media, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Anyways, for this week, we're going to be talking about probably one of my favorite topics, which is bad movies.
Yay!
Some are bad movies we love. Some are bad movies that should never see the light of day.
Never.
We don't always agree on them. I think Guardians is magical, but apparently your husband disagrees with me.
Not just my husband. That was painful, and I'll only do it once.
It earned its 4.8 stars on Amazon.
Oh my God, how does it have that? Oh my God.
Or on IMDb.
Oh dear God. I want to see the Rotten Tomatoes rating. That's what I want to see.
It's probably pretty rotten.
It's probably pretty bad.
So yeah, we're going to be talking about some bad movies, specifically superhero movies. There are as many victories as there are defeats in this genre. We tend to overlook them. And the ones that kind of fall close to the line are severely, people fight for these.
Yep.
People are invested. So we're going to talk about the ones that fall in multiple spots for us. I am not allowed to talk about X3, so sorry, everyone. I promised I wouldn't bring it up.
But you have to at least mention that you're not going to mention it, because
poor X-Men. But X-Men Apocalypse is still on the table.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, if you want to go there.
I can't defend it. But before we get started, how about some pop culture trivia?
Oh, I'm very excited about this one today. So The day we are recording this is September the 1st. And so if you're listening, it's a couple days later. And this Google Doodle, I don't know if you can like search for these when they're done, but the Google Doodle for today was the fabulous Jackie Orms. And if you haven't heard of Jackie Orms, you are not alone. Her first comic strip, Torchy Brown in Dixie to Harlem, first appeared in the Pittsburgh Courier on May 1st, 1937. Her work was not syndicated in the usual sense, but since the Courier had 14 city editions, she was indeed read from coast to coast. Jackie Orms was an African-American woman, and she wrote about an African-American woman named Torchy Brown. A lot of her stuff was widely read in the African-American publications, but I believe she is one of the only women at the time and one of the only comic strips featuring a prominent person of color to kind of start to cross over just a little bit into more white publications. The strip starring Torchy Brown was a humorous depiction of a Mississippi teen who found fame and fortune singing and dancing in the Cotton Club. Torchy's journey from Mississippi to New York City mirrored the journey of many African Americans who ventured northward during the Great Migration. It was through Torchy Brown that Orms became the first African American woman to produce a nationally appearing comic strip. The strip ran until April 30th, 1938. The reason for the strip's abrupt end is uncertain, but it is presumed to have been due to an end to her contract. Her heroines, including the iconic Torchy and Heartbeats, are strong, independent women who are socially and politically aware, who strive for their goals against all odds, defy social norms, and pick themselves up by the bootstraps and move on to the next adventure. In an interview towards the end of her life, Orms said, "I have never liked dreamy little women who can't hold their own." Orms's creations not only defied expectations for Black women, but gave her readership strong models for what the next powerful generation of young Black women could become. She died of a cerebral hemorrhage in Chicago on December 26, 1985. Orms was posthumously inducted into the National Association of Black Journalists Hall of Fame in 2014 and was inducted into the Will Eisner Comic Industry Eisner Award Hall of Fame as a judge's choice in 2018.
Huh. So there's the doodle for today. If you're watching this on YouTube, there it is. If you're listening to the podcast, you can always Google Doodles, and it'll show you all the previous doodles for I think all time. I think they.
Oh, geez.
I only know this because one of my students had a doodle.
That is cool. I was really excited because I honestly don't think people talk about the importance of comic strips to African American culture in the early 20th century, and also as really a jumping off point for a lot of African American characters getting into comic books, and also artists and inkers getting in the door through, to animation and all kinds of other things. But Torchy was really, really fascinating. She actually also, what I read didn't mention it, but there was a line of paper dolls that Jackie Orms created. And there weren't, at the time, if you think about it, like paper dolls were mostly marketed for white girls, but here is a Black woman. So these are marketed primarily to Black little girls. And Torchy was a fashion icon. When Jackie would draw the outfits for the paper doll, women would go to the stores and ask for outfits like what Jackie Orms was designing for the doll. So it was just, Torchy Brown was a real cultural touchstone for the early 20th century.
Huh.
Yeah.
I remember reading, the only comic that I followed for a long period of time was The Phantom.
Mm.
We didn't have comic books where I lived at the time. There was no bookstores. So but I couldn't recall the story for so long. So what I would do is I would cut them out and I kept them.
Oh,
And that
cool.
way I could read them like a comic book.
Yeah, that is so
Um,
cool.
What I learned is the plot never actually happens. I think I had a year of them, and like one thing happened in the plot.
Oh no.
So
well, what is your geek out for this week?
So I've been super excited about this one. So I go hang out with one of my buddies. We've been isolating throughout this whole shindig, and so we're still able to watch movies without, dying. And so, weirdly enough, we decided to watch the sequel for Train to Busan, which is a Korean zombie movie. So,
Okay.
Last year, Parasite won Best Picture, and it's a Korean-made movie. And so Korean cinema it's been around for a long time, and it's really just started to take off and become its own art form. And Korean cinema in general has some amazing movies.
Mhm.
I'm not one for reading subtitles because I'm generally multitasking during movies, but I can't even tell you what the name of it was, but it was a 3.5 or 4.5 hour long Korean ghost story thing.
Jesus.
And it was fascinating. And so I really bought into this. And when Train to Busan came out, it was 2 years ago. And so not long after World War Z came out, which was a complete and utter clusterfuck of a film and should have never been made. Max Brooks, I don't know how he endorsed that movie. It was bad. Brad Pitt, you should never act again because of that movie.
Oh my God.
And it was just so bad. And so zombies are kind of becoming out of fashion. And Train to Busan comes around, and it's a zombie film that takes place mostly on a train.
Oh, wow.
And it recaptures everything that people love about zombie films, which is not really anything to do with zombies, because zombies are just an allegory for the plague or whatnot. But it's what people do during these high stress times. And the movie was so high octane, so tension filled, like edge of your seat. So Peninsula was highly anticipated. And I have to say, it's not a great zombie film. I really like this movie. Not a great zombie film, but it's a better movie, a better car movie than Mad Max.
Oh my God, seriously?
There is a scene where a young tween, early teen Korean girl comes to the main character's rescue, and she's in like an SUV, and dude, it was hilarious in its absurdity, because she's just driving around, and there's so many Asian driver jokes that they're just like, we're gonna put this to the forefront, we're gonna own it, and we're gonna weaponize it.
Oh my God.
And as she's just driving around, she just pops the emergency brake, skids it around, and just decimates lines of zombie, pops down, keeps driving along. And it is the funniest thing. And I'm like, is this a comedy? Is this like, that is some killer zombie slaying?
Yeah.
So there were definitely great moments in it. My attention was the whole thing, and for me to say that is difficult. I would definitely suggest it. It had a little bit of a genre identity crisis because there was a lot of Mad Max happening.
Okay.
There's some military aspects, some crazy post-apocalyptic things, and oh yeah, zombies. But
so it's a little bit of everything. Like, they just grabbed a bunch of different things and threw it together. Okay.
But if I don't know if it's on YouTube, but if you can find the driving scene, if nothing else, there's nothing scary about it, but like you just want to put on some like Highway to the Danger Zone in the background as she's driving around. We're priceless.
There's always room for Kenny Loggins. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching that and I'm like, man, if Charlize Theron shows up in this, I think I'm betting on this teenage girl. So the plot was great. I think it's another benchmark for Korean cinema. So for those that haven't delved into it, it's slow paced. It's weirdly sentimental in places Americans aren't used to. There's every time something sad happens, it's very long because we need to make sure you had time to properly cry.
Got it. Okay.
But I mean, just the driving scenes. Watch it.
Okay.
Okay. And you're not even a zombie fan, and I think this is not a scary movie.
Okay.
The first one was. This one wasn't. Just watch the driving scene.
I've seen Shaun of the Dead. I didn't get it. That was my first zombie film, which was a bad first zombie film to watch because it's all one big joke about the zombie genre, and I was like, I don't get this at all.
Yeah, that is so highly referential.
Yeah.
Like,
and then a friend convinced me to watch the first season of Walking Dead, which I did, and I'm like, wow, this is like from an art perspective, this is incredibly well put together, which I've heard, falls apart in the last couple of seasons. But I was like, this is too tense. This is too intense. I can't do another season. I'm good.
you feel kind of like you had a workout at the end.
Exactly.
Because you're like,
yeah.
And the first one of these was like that. At any moment, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This one was like, put her in the driver's seat again. And we did.
Good. Okay.
Like, hit resume. We're playing the extended version this time.
Awesome.
Okay, what about you? What have you been geeking out about?
So I went back and forth. I had one geek out down, but I think I'm going to save it for next week because I need to see more of the show to get a good geek out about it. But my husband and I have started to watch because we're kind of like, why don't we try this? We're at that point where it's like we've watched all the stuff that we had saved up. Like we don't have time to watch. So now, we've kind of finished a lot of that. And now we're taking risks. We're kind of like branching out and watching things that we might not have otherwise kind of started. So on HBO is the show Avenue 5.
Never heard of it.
I hadn't either. And we were just browsing because we got it's like the HBO Max app will play on YouTube TV where it won't play on like the Roku and Amazon. So we got it to go through our YouTube TV because that's kind of how we do cable. And so we're scrolling through and he's like, oh, do you want to give this a shot? And I'm like, I've never heard of it. Sure. Why not? So it's basically a big ass cruise ship in space. So you pay for like a 4-month cruise through space, right? And Hugh Laurie plays the captain of the cruise ship, which is called Avenue 5. And the actor, Josh Gad, I think is his name, he played Olaf. He was the voice of Olaf in the Frozen movies. He is Judd, and Judd owns, he's like this cajillionaire, and he owns the cruise ship line, right? And he's on the ship, and he's just the most weird, narcissistic, self-involved dumbass you've ever seen in your entire life. So it starts out, and you're like, okay, it's a big ass cruise ship going through space. And Hugh Laurie's character has this reputation for saving Avenue 3, which was the cruise ship he was a captain of. Parts of it caught fire. And he keeps telling everybody, like, throughout the first little bit of the pilot, like, it wasn't really me. It was the fire department. And everybody's like, okay, sure. Yeah, you're so humble. which comes back around. Everything, literally, the thing about the show is literally every little thing that's planted, you're like, that's kind of a weird, innocuous thing. It comes back around to it. So what ends up happening is there's a gravity issue that it's like a malfunction on one side of the ship. It throws everybody on that side of the ship against the walls, windows, you name it. They're just stuck to the wall. And they get it, the engineers get it fixed. But two problems. One, the main engineer who knows everything about the ship, who's like the most knowledgeable person, ends up getting killed when the gravity is turned back on because he ends up getting slammed into a screwdriver and it goes through his heart. But he's outside in a spacesuit. So at first you're just like, what the hell just happened? Like, is he hanging onto the side of the ship? You're like, I don't understand what's going on here. And then the other thing you find out is this gravity shift. They're supposed to slingshot around Titan, and that's going to get them back home. Well, their trajectory is thrown off so badly that they're not going to get home for 3 years and 6 months. And let me tell you, this is not the group of people you want to be trapped on an interstellar cruise ship with. You've got the couple that's incredibly dysfunctional and like they're both sleeping with everybody else on the ship but each other. And then they scream at each other for not sleeping with each other. Because so there's that couple. Then you've got like the other couple where the woman knows everything. She's the strong arm in the relationship and her husband is like the dumbest person, dumb as a bag of rocks. And just all these different personalities. And it's about this cruise ship and all the things that could go wrong do go wrong. Like, for instance, the people that you think are the crew, they're not the crew. They're actors. They were literally hired to be the crew because they look pretty. Hugh Laurie's character did not know this. Why? Because he's not really a captain. He doesn't know how a spaceship works. He's also not American, like the accent he was having. He's British and he's an alcoholic. And so everything just starts unraveling around these people. And you also, it's really cool because there's the people on the ship and then there's the people in the mission control that are trying to figure out how the hell do we spin this? How do we get help to get them home? Judd is freaking out because he's getting all these estimates. Like, this is not just going to bankrupt his company. Like, he is going to go to jail for this when they get home. So, like, there was one point he was like, does it have to just be 3 years and 6 months? They have a funeral. There was like, so the guy that died, the only guy, like the actual person that should have been the captain, died. And then like 4 people from the accident end up dying. So like they shoot them out as part of like a funeral thing. But what nobody listens to the engineer that's like, this is not a good idea. You can't do this. They're like, yeah, sure we can. It's really easy. She's like, no, you don't understand. A ship as big as this one has its own gravitational pull. So they shoot these clear, they're clear caskets. Okay, they're clear. You can see through them. They shoot these clear caskets out. And it's like a countdown. They're rotating around the ship. And then that's not it though. The next episode, so like apparently the outside of the waste tubes run outside, and I think this is an actual thing. I haven't looked it up, but basically human excrement is a great barrier to radiation poisoning. And so they have the waste tubes and stuff like all around the ship as kind of a shit shield, basically is what it is. But one of the tubes ruptures. So they get it sealed. But now, in addition to the caskets, there's a ring of shits. And it's so glorious and just weird, but also kind of dark. Like there are some genuinely dark, disturbing moments. Like because what they are kind of doing is exploring people in this really extreme circumstance who are privileged and pampered. Like this is a luxury cruise liner. And like there's one tiramisu left. Oh shit, no, kind of a thing.
So I would watch anything with Hugh Laurie in it because I got so tired of seeing House on reruns that I just watched the whole series in like a week.
Oh my God, why did you do that to yourself?
Oh my God, I love Hugh Laurie. He could read the shampoo bottle to me. But he was in a series called Chance, which Hulu, Netflix, I don't even know.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It wasn't on that long, was it?
No, it was only ever meant to be one season, and they did it for 2. But it's basically imagine House if he's darker, and he's a psychiatrist with extremely questionable morals, more so than House.
That's really scary.
It was interesting. It got dark, and then it got really dark, and then it got wow.
No, this is not you. If you like Hugh Laurie, you will love this because he's barely clinging to sanity. And it's just like one thing after another, like, oh, the crew is fake. Well, where's the real crew? And they literally open a hatch in the floor and there's like these guys looking up. They're in an underground, like an underbunker, and like monitoring everything. It's
basically if Disney made a cruise ship.
Basically, yes. And then like the cruise director, who's supposed to be like, hey, making everything better, he finds out the situation. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna be me. And he's just like dark and yeah, everybody dies. Half of us are probably gonna die too. Anybody want a drink? And it's just like it's just so if you're looking for a new comedy to watch, try Avenue 5. It's on HBO. You can get it with any of the streaming apps. It is really hilarious. I am really enjoying it.
I'm constantly amazed at what HBO can pull off. I mean, Game of Thrones was a visual spectacle.
Yeah.
Watchmen was just outstanding storyline. I used to watch Sopranos, the early seasons. I stopped after that. And then whatever that prison show was.
Oh, I don't remember. There was The Wire.
Oh, this is even way before that.
Okay. I think I remember that, but I don't remember the name. Like I kind of know what you're talking about. There's a visual in my head.
It's where Chris Maloney's butt became famous.
Really?
Yeah. There's a website for that.
Famous butts?
No, just Chris Maloney's butt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very targeted. All right, respect. Should we take a small break and then come back for the deep dive?
We should.
Desperate to read a great cape and cowl story but unable to find any on Amazon? Want a new anti-hero to love to hate? Need some women heroes in your super team rotation? Superhero Fiction is here to help. With over 300 curated superhero books and counting, you're sure to find the novel that will scratch your itch. Unless, of course, that itch is a radioactive spider bite, and then, well, you're on your own. Superherofiction.com. Real fans read.
All right. Ready to talk about some bad movies?
I am so ready to talk about some bad movies.
So do you want to talk about the worst of the worst first?
Okay.
I think a lot of people will agree on these.
I think they will. Although I would venture to guess that some people might actually like these. It's that kind of, I know it's really bad they're like pork rinds. These are the pork rinds of the superhero movie world.
I wouldn't even go pork rinds. I'd be like, these are the rice cakes. You can't even have a pork flavor.
But not the flavored rice cakes, like the plain rice
ones.
Cakes. The plain
and
ones.
There's no peanut butter in the house.
No. Mm-mm.
I think the one that I would throw out, so I already talked about how horrible Catwoman was, and that will probably stay my
Yeah.
close to bottom. It'll be
Yeah.
in the bottom realm. But I'm going to go with Catwoman, the most recent iteration of Fantastic Four,
Okay.
and Spider-Man 3
Oh,
as the most tedious things. And you're probably, the moment you're hearing me say this, you're probably going, but what about, no. I promise, I've thought about this. I actually keep a chart.
that's some commitment right there, man.
I wrote out every movie Marvel has ever made back to like Transformers.
Oh, shit.
And I rated them. And those are probably in the bottom.
Spider-Man 3, absolutely. Like that movie,
and the reason it doesn't go on the it's so bad it's good is because everything about it was done wrong.
Yeah.
And
annoying. It's just an annoying film.
So I don't have any issue with Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. He wasn't my favorite, but I'm okay with him. Spider-Man 1 happened. I was a fan. Spider-Man 2 happened. Wasn't as much of a fan, but I enjoyed it. This one came out and literally someone just sat around and goes, well, we had 2 villains last one. Why don't we make 3 villains this time? Oh, you mean we have to explain where they came from? Well, we don't got time for that.
Yeah.
You mean we have to show character depth? Well, we got a montage.
We've got Tobey Maguire with messy hair.
Yeah, like, and literally it was just shot. Actually, it might even be worse than this. Evil Tobey Maguire has greasy hair. They might as well have drawn on a mustache and been like, it's evil Spider-Man.
When the best, and I'm pretty sure this is that movie, when the best thing you can say about a movie is, oh, I like that scene where James Franco eats pie, then you have a problem.
And I'm all for Venom. Like, bring it on. Wow, that, like, my favorite part of Spider-Man is the whole like Phoenix's to X-Men is the symbiote to Spider-Man. So wow, you phoned in every possible aspect. And really, did the Green Goblin need a redemption storyline?
Oh my God, was that in there? See, I don't even remember. Like, I remember he ends up getting hurt and having amnesia, and then he's nice for a little while, and then he remembers and he's pissed off. So actually there's 4 villains, right? No, there's the Green Goblin, there's the Sand guy.
Yeah, Sandman,
and then there's Venom. Is that it?
Venom.
I thought there was another one.
No, in the second one it was Hobgoblin and Doc Ock.
I actually liked Doc Ock.
I was okay with Doc Ock. I thought he did a really good job of being someone who you had sympathy for, but at the same time, he was a villain. Yeah. And that's kind of what I liked about it. This one, Sandman, I mean, literally, you had 15 seconds of special effects. Like, you set up that whole plot line with no reward.
There was no reason to have that villain in that film. None.
And Venom was nowhere to be found. And it's kind of like how I feel about Rebecca Ramon being Mystique. She has nothing to do with this plot, but she's naked, so let's keep her.
Yeah.
Hobgoblin had nothing to do with this plot, but well, we can't introduce someone else because we can't do more origin. There was no origin to begin with.
Yeah, well, and actually at the time, James Franco was still kind of a popular actor. He was popular in the franchise, and I think they felt like they needed to capitalize on that. But honestly, Kirsten Dunst, Mary Jane getting kidnapped again, suspended from heights again. Like, I mean, I really just wanted her to say again. You know what I mean? Like, how often are we going to kidnap the hero's girlfriend? So not original.
And some of the same stuff is going to be what's wrong with the most recent Fantastic Four is there was no reason for them to do anything that they did.
Yeah.
Literally, if your character, like, at any moment, the woman playing Sue Richards, I kept expecting her to look at the camera and go, motivation. What's my motivation?
What am I doing here?
And that movie was so bad that it made the first two Fantastic Fours look like Oscar worthy.
Jeez.
And even the special effects were subpar.
When a studio has lost faith in a film when their special effects are very late 1990s, early 2000s.
You just reminded me of my favorite bad movie.
And that is
this. Oh, we'll get to this.
Okay.
I found something to up X3.
Oh my God! Oh,
we're gonna take it to a whole new level.
I just thought of one that I haven't thought of in a long time. Okay, I can't wait to talk about it now. I got to write it down because I forgot to put it in the show notes originally, and now I'm just gonna write it down really quick and I'll add it later.
So those are my three bad. Like there's no redemption, and mostly it becomes from they were bad from conception, and all three of them I think really suffered by the people in charge. And Sam Raimi, like you have no excuse, but it was like the people had never read the source material. It was like this was all brand new for them. So that is kind of where, especially for like geeks, not saying you have to pay as fan service, but we've been invested for 30 plus years. Like a little nod here and there, like Deadpool nods left and right to the fan.
Yeah. It nods so much it hurts its neck.
Yeah, I actually sometimes wonder if there's a plot in there and if it's just nodding.
We don't care though. Let's be honest. We really don't care.
So what would go on your atrocities list?
So my atrocities list. I would say definitely Spider-Man 3. That every copy of that movie should be burned. I'm not even kidding. I think the last, like the Batman, I think it's Batman and Robin. It's the last Joel Schumacher Batman film, the George Clooney one.
Yep.
We got Bat Pecs. And I am really bitter about that movie, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they dangled the carrot of Batgirl out in front of us, and then it's almost like somebody was like, "Oh, I made this beautiful chocolate cake for you," and then you bite into it, and it's absolutely made out of shit. You have been not just bait and switched, you've been violated. So
your chocolate chip cookie actually has raisins in it.
Exactly. You've been lied to in a monumental way. And I felt that way as a fan of Batgirl from when I was a very little girl watching the 1960s campy reruns. I felt betrayed because I was like, who the fuck is this? This is not Batgirl, and this is not Batman. And what the hell is going on here? Poison Ivy was just there for TNA. I mean, that was really the only point of that character. I don't even know why Mr. Freeze was there. No one can justify that. I would
enjoy the movie if Mr. Freeze was taken out.
He was, so apparently, I forget who was originally cast as that, and it was either Arnold Schwarzenegger's people or somebody at the studio was like, no, we're doing like this. And it was just okay.
He got to write his own lines.
Oh, did he really? I know he got, he got poisoning. He got like battery acid poisoning in his mouth because so the way they made his teeth glow, he had that's a practical effect. So he had this device in his mouth that would make his mouth glow, but he could only have it in for like 10 minutes, and then his saliva would eat away at the some part of it, and it would leak battery acid into his mouth. So he had burns all around the inside of his mouth, and then he was like really super sick for most of that production.
Because that's exactly what happened to me after I saw the movie.
I know, right? I'm like, I feel you. This was just terrible. Yeah, so I felt really betrayed by that film. And poor Alicia, it's funny because you hear stories of what the actors went through during that filming. Alicia Silverstone was receiving death threats, which I think really is taking your fandom too far, personally. But she was also incredibly ill throughout that entire filming. She was losing weight right and left. They had to pad her costumes. And part of it was stress and anxiety. She was just puking all the time. And then George Clooney was like phoning it in. Let's be honest. He was just like, I'm here for a paycheck. I think Arnold was the only one there who wanted to be. I'm going to be honest.
I feel like he showed up excited every morning, and everyone else was like, no.
I can't believe I have to be here.
Do you know how Alicia Silverstone got famous?
I do not. I know. I think my earliest memory of her is Clueless.
So that's what, thrust her into fame. She was in an Aerosmith music video.
Serious? Oh, that one. The one with Liv Tyler. Oh, the really questionable one. That was really questionable. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. I think I've blocked it out because that was just bad parenting all the way across the board.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right.
I'm pretty sure. Now I'm kind of curious.
But those two movies, I liked the Spider-Man films with Tobey Maguire, and that third one, I was like, this is just a train wreck.
Yeah, there was really nothing I could come back from on that one.
No.
And again, kind of like what they did for Batgirl, Venom is such a cool whatever. To the point where I even kind of liked the Venom movie. Was it great? No.
Yeah.
Would I watch it again? Maybe.
Well, what I heard from fans was it was fun. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with liking a flawed film because it's fun. I mean, that's fine.
I am completely wrong about her.
Oh, really? Because it is a blonde.
Oh, ew.
Alicia Silverstone.
She was in the Wonder Years for an episode, and so that was her first. And then after that, it was the erotic thriller The Crush.
Oh my God, I remember that movie.
And I remember that movie, and there was no coming back from that. Oh no, she was in 2 Aerosmith music videos as well. Amazing and Crazy. I was right.
I liked Clueless. It's not a great film. It really isn't, but it's so fun.
That movie and Wayne's World have been cited as being 2 movies that have altered linguistics more than any other media.
That's an accomplishment. Shit.
I mean, because we still say whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we do. There are things from Clueless I still say every day.
Exactly. But those would be my 2 bottom feeders, I guess I should say. Those are the bottom feeders for me.
And there are a long list of others that I have no ambition to ever see again, like Fantastic Four 2 or Iron Man 2, 3, sometimes 1.
Civil War. I would put Civil War in there.
I would watch Civil War for the 8-minute scene that everyone cares about.
I just feel like that was a major lost opportunity, and it's useless. It's a pointless film in the MCU, and there's not many I can say about that, but I feel like that is a pointless film.
I would, and all of them, like there's a lot of movies that I wouldn't want to see again necessarily.
Thor, Dark World. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, the film that made Natalie Portman throw up her hands and go, "Y'all can fuck yourself."
Which reminded me, the other day, I still need to add V for Vendetta to watch list.
That's such a good movie, but I don't think I can handle it right now.
Haven't seen it before. So
oh my God.
Yeah.
So good. It's so good.
So I'm going back to 1997 for this one.
Damn.
So once upon a time, before X-Men became a movie, there was Generation X.
It was a movie?
It was a made-for-TV movie on Fox.
Oh, dude. Oh my God.
Okay, so the cast of Generation X in the comic books is a new school for young mutants that is led by Emma Frost and Banshee.
Okay.
And their main X person is Jubilee. They demote her from X-Men. They're like, go back to school, which is the point of contention. But you get characters like Sync, who his ability is to mimic other people's powers. Skin, who has a lot of skin, and it's like prehensile.
Ew.
Yeah. Monet, who her ability when she first starts is she's perfect. That's it. Her whole power. Perfect.
Okay.
And then there's Mondo, who I don't think is in the movie. Let me see who is actually in this movie, because it is it was made for Fox, and it was meant to be a pilot movie.
Okay.
And so it was the only thing I can describe it as, if you haven't seen it, is if hackers met the first X-Men movie.
Oh, jeez.
That's how 90s it is.
Oh my God.
So
I actually like Hackers. I know that movie is like made fun of right and left, but I actually like that movie.
I just watched it the other day. It doesn't hold up, and I still love it. No. So the main cast is Emma Frost and Banshee, who the worst Irish accent you have ever heard in your life. And Emma Frost, who her ability is to have a ample bosom, is not allowed to have an ample bosom, so her corset covers quite a bit. And there is Husk, who her ability is to tear off her skin.
Ew.
Yeah, literally, these people have gross powers. And so in the TV show, they can't do that. It's a special effects nightmare. So they just make her super strong. Okay, whatever.
Oh, okay. Well,
she's the younger sister of Cannonball. Monet, I don't even remember what her power is. I think she just walks through it with a halter top, and that's her power. There's Jubilee. There's some random dude who's kind of Cyclops, wears black sunglasses, and shoots eye beams.
They couldn't get the rights to Cyclops, maybe?
No one quite knows why he's there. Nothing to do with anything. And then the plot revolves around Skin, who is Angelo. I can't think of his last name, but he is brought into the school very much like Kitty Pryde, and there's all these super things that are happening. Meanwhile, there's a dude who is, if I can, oh my God, I need the name. Matt Frewer.
Oh, seriously? Max Headroom.
Yeah, and he plays that. Like, that is his character. He's invented a machine that allows him to go into people's dreams.
Oh my God.
And somehow this is threatening the world. I don't really know why or how. And so it's Fox, like, after school, like, level intense.
Oh my God.
And they have to band together and each use their mutant abilities once, because that's all we have special effects budget for, and defeat him. Meanwhile, Emma Frost has to PG it down. So there is weird sexual tension between her and Banshee, which I kind of lived for.
Yeah.
But it was so bad. But it was the first live action mutants. So for me, it was like it predated X-Men. And so this was like the best thing ever.
Oh my God.
You can watch it on YouTube. It's hard to see because even in standard def, it was still low quality. But that might actually help it. So that's going to go on my favorite worst movie. And yes, it is even worse than X3.
Damn. And you love it.
The people in it might be as pointless as the characters in Age of Apocalypse.
Wow.
That's the level of poor writing.
Okay. But it's X-Men. It was like kind of like the first.
Yeah, like you got to give it some allowances. It's bad. It's
okay.
It doesn't even have like good 90s soundtrack because they couldn't get the rights for anything. It was so low budget. Yeah, it's bad.
I don't think any of mine are that bad. Like they're so.
You're so bad it's questionably good.
Well, I don't think it's all that bad, but fans of the character pretty much hated this movie. Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
I live for that montage.
I really loved it.
I still have Evanescence on my like superhero writing playlist because of that movie.
Yes, absolutely. I love Jennifer Garner in it. I love Ben Affleck in it. I can see why people were so pissed off at the portrayal of Bullseye, however. Now I get it. But at the time, I was like, no, this is so cool. I love this movie. And as I met more comic book fans, I realized, I shouldn't be mentioning that movie.
I like X3. I get you.
Yeah, it was my first exposure really to the character, which again, I realized it's not, after watching the Netflix series, I was like, okay, now I can understand, because Dan is a huge Daredevil fan, and he was like, no, the Netflix series is really true to Matt Murdock and the character of Daredevil. And now I understand, I have a visual to understand the differences and why people didn't like the Ben Affleck version, but I really genuinely love the Ben Affleck version. I loved the chemistry between he and Jennifer Garner. I loved this like tragical, like the scene in the rain at the funeral is one of my like most favorite cheesy superhero romance like scenes ever. I think it's just beautiful.
I really liked the special effects portrayal of his sonar.
I did too. I thought it was really good.
You know what? I'm going to defend you on this one.
Thank you.
Granted, I get why people didn't like it, because Daredevil isn't a summary of his abilities. Like he is a very. I love X-Men and everything, but they can be kind of two-dimensional at times. Daredevil, I feel, is way more nuanced.
Yeah, very much.
Now you have 90 minutes to show an origin of two characters, amp it up, show the ramifications. I mean, there's technically two villains.
Yeah. Well, and also, who was it that played what's his face? Kingpin.
Was it Ving Rhames?
No, it was the guy.
Be.
It was the guy from Green Mile. He died several years back.
Yeah.
He was great. I thought he was very threatening. That scene where they're fighting, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna die. Like, he's just so big.
And can I just tell you, I remember Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan.
When he got cast as Kingpin, oh man, it was before social media. This came out in 2003, so people were pissed that a black man was playing Kingpin.
I can imagine, but he acted the shit out of that part, and there wasn't a whole lot there to act. Honestly, it would have been very easy to chew the scenery on that one, but my memory of his performance was that he did a really good job. Honestly, I had no problems with him as Kingpin. He was threatening. He was fucking huge.
And Kingpin, I mean, depending on who the artist is, I mean, he is a symbol of gluttony.
Yeah.
And so he's not menacing in the fact that he's not going to chase after you.
Yeah, exactly.
So they needed someone who was equal parts just massive, larger than life, literally. Yeah. And, he could actually kill me.
Yeah, but there was also, and this is, I feel Vincent D'Onofrio took this to the next level, but I do remember there being a little bit of a quiet, like Michael Clark Duncan would deliver these really threatening lines with a smile on his face, and it made it all the more terrifying. You're like, oh my God, he's going to literally rip this guy's head off.
The scene where he's just looking out the window and he's got like that, I know it's coming, like bring it type face. I was like, I'm on board for this.
Yeah. So I would say Daredevil is one of mine. Like, I've stopped telling people I like it because I get that look from a lot of people, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I love it. I'd watch it.
John Favreau was in it.
Yeah, he was Foggy, and I loved him.
I realize that.
Yeah, he was so good in it. I loved him. He and Ben Affleck had great buddy chemistry.
And of course, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner became a thing.
Yeah, she was great as Elektra. I had no problem with her as Elektra.
Okay, so let's backpedal that one just a second.
Oh, I'm not talking about the standalone movie. I never saw it. I refuse.
My dad still has my DVD of it. He won't give it back. Like,
okay, that's a little weird.
You have an unhealthy obsession with Jennifer Garner. Give me back my DVD.
I've never seen it. I refuse.
So it's basically about a lovable assassin who can't kill because it's a PG movie, and she's being hunted down by a woman who makes snakes. That's really all I can remember. But it can't be scary because it's a PG movie, and we have to believe that she's the good guy. So there's another girl who she tries to save. So there's no actual assassinating. She's the world's worst assassin. Oh, and there's no fight scene.
PG? Why would you try to make a PG movie about Elektra? I mean, that's your first mistake.
So I watched Blade this week. I'm saving the third one as a treat for this weekend.
I still need to see that. I really do need to see that.
Ryan Reynolds and Parker Posey. That's really all you need to care about.
No, I haven't seen any of them. So I told Dan,
really?
I was like, I have to watch Blade. I really need to see it.
The first one, like I went and did like research on who the people were in it. Oh, there's some questionable people in that movie. Like, like lots of former porn stars as not extras, but they're very bit roles.
Oh my God.
You can tell like they didn't have the money for the cast, so
yeah,
they cast who was available. And because the vampires are, you know, kind of sexing it up a little bit, it all worked. But there's questionable histories there. The second one, they just decided to go for a good action film, and it kind of holds up. But Black Panther, you get a lot of reward. Not knocking it. First black superhero, Blade. First rated R movie, Deadpool, Kiss My Ass, Blade. First Z-list superhero to lead a feature film,
Blade.
Blade.
Is this okay? So is this your second one? It's bad, but I will watch it.
I wanted it to be my bad, but watched it, and I'm gonna say no. It stands in a good.
Okay, no, fair enough.
Blade 3, so bad I love it. There's no good reason to watch that movie. There's montages again.
I'm always up for a good montage, seriously. And there was a point in cinema where it wasn't an action movie without a montage, so I'm down with it.
I mean, Daredevil, I love that montage.
I love that montage with the bags, the sandbags, and she just like.
Which, by the way, if that's your gym, that's like a 30-second workout if you're going to keep chopping those up.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, I could poke holes in that montage all day, but I don't want to.
I was there for it. Are there any others that go on your bad but love it list?
Mystery Men.
Oh no, that's just good.
Well, I went back and forth. Well, okay, so some people think it's just too cheesy. There is another one, but it has some whitewashing issues a little bit. It's called The Shadow. It's got, okay, so The Shadow, it's kind of a superhero movie. It's got Alec Baldwin in it. He's this white dude that does all this really terrible, heinous shit. It's early 20th century. He's like, I don't know, somewhere in Asia. And he's setting himself up as the mystical heir to Genghis Khan, right? So the first time you meet him, he's got greasy long hair and he's wearing this ginormous freaking like fur coat. And he's got these, you know, opium in, you know, high women all over him. And he's like really long. I mean, just disgusting. And this mystical guy comes in, you're meant for more, yada, yada, yada. He gets mystical powers. You're now the Shadow, and, you know, nobody will know your true face, and you've been given these mystical powers. But it's like, it's kind of like Iron Fist in the sense of white man goes to Asia, comes back with superpowers kind of a thing. And so it's the early 1900s, and he comes back, and he's like, he's a vigilante. He goes out at night and he taps into these mystical powers, and it actually transforms the way he looks. And he has like a scarf over this part of his face, and so nobody can tell who he is. He's got this huge ass fedora and kind of an opera cape over a suit. It's so bad. It's just bad. It makes no sense. His friend comes and wants to do this mystical who was it's that's gonna like destroy everything, and he can't let him. And there's this big fight at the. I mean, it's forgettable, but I love it. When I see it on TV, I'm like, oh, The Shadow. I actually like this movie. And it's got a lot of issues. Like I said, like white guy with Asian mystical powers. I have an issue with that now. I didn't when I was like a teenager and I was loving, you know, Alec Baldwin and all of that.
For Alec Baldwin.
Well, Alec Baldwin's a kind of a dick, but I love him in this movie. It's a lot of fun. It's just got some weirdness to it. You know, it's a fun movie. Don't look for logic in the plot. There isn't any. Yeah.
Another one that I would put on my shit list. I wanted more from it based on the TV show, which had its own problems, but Green Hornet.
God, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, and that's, I think the reason it goes on the shit list is because when it was over, you purged.
Yeah.
There was nothing that you wanted. So like, and this is why I think Mystery Men, it might not be your cup of tea, but it goes on the good list because there are scenes from that. I can still quote parts of that movie.
Yes.
Every time Janine Garofalo has a conversation with her father,
I love it so much.
Laughed so
really
hard.
Quickly, I think that skull in the ball is in Ocean's 8. The all-girl follow-up to the Ocean's 11 franchise. If you look in Cate Blanchett's loft, there is a giant-ass clear ball with a skull in it sitting on one of her tables.
That would be awesome.
I think it's the same prop. I want it to be the same prop, I'm going to admit. But I threw Mystery Men out there because there are some people that poo-poo it. It's like, it's cheesy, it's stupid. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's cheesy, it's stupid. These people have like the weirdest fucking powers you can imagine. But I think that's what makes it work.
And I think for the people, and I'm not trying to diss people's tastes, again, X3. But people who instantly kind of jump to that, I just want to say, it might not be for you, but if you thought it was for you, then you didn't get it.
Yeah, exactly. It's for those of us who are total dorks, and we know we're total dorks. Like, if I had superpowers, it would be one of those stupid ass ones.
In a weird way, once upon a time, that's what the outside world thought of us.
Mm-hmm.
We love superheroes. They expected that to be us.
Exactly.
So I think it was not poking fun at the fans. I think it was having a great inside joke with them.
That's a really good way to put it. I would agree with that.
And as much as I would put it on the same caliber as Galaxy Quest for its fan service, it didn't have a history that Galaxy Quest could tap into.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I think, we kind of already asked what I think our natural question of the week would be over on the reader group. But we asked people, what are your favorite bad superhero movies? But I think maybe we should do what are the superhero movies that are in your doghouse?
Oh,
what are the ones that you're like, that should never have been made?
For whatever reason have you.
Yeah. That's our question of the week.
If you had a DeLorean, what would you erase from existence?
Exactly. What movie would you go back and go, no, don't. We're not doing this. And I think for me, one of them would be Spider-Man 3. I would be like, bad. Put it down. Don't you dare.
This is an awesome power. There's so many. Would I do it for selfish reasons, or would I purge something from the world
that just shouldn't be there?
What was the John Travolta movie? Battlestar Earth? Battleground Earth. You're welcome, world. I would eradicate that for you.
I think nobody would argue with you about that. All right. So if you want to answer our question of the week, you can email us. You can go to the Superhero Fiction page, and you can also join Superhero Fiction Readers on our Facebook fan group. Thank you for hanging out with us today, everybody.
We love talking bad movies.
We love it so much.
Basically, this is just a general conversation between the two of us every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's just another Tuesday or Thursday.
Just wait. I'm going to find the next Guardian for you.
Oh, God. All right. I got to find something. Payback. We got to have some payback.
It's going to be some rough payback.
Yeah. I got to make it good. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Have a good week, everyone.
To stay up to date with the Geekorama podcast, you can watch our videos on YouTube or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a review or hit the thumbs up button. New episodes are released on Thursdays for podcast listeners and YouTube fans.